Age of Ash is the newest release from Daniel Abraham, best known for co-authoring much-loved sci-fi series The Expanse. It's the first book in the Kithamar trilogy and a return to Abraham's seemingly preferred genre of fantasy. In Age of Ash, we predominantly follow the viewpoints of Elise and Samish, young women from Long Hill, which is the roughest district in the city of Kithamar. They grow up barely more than street urchins and, like half of Long Hill's population, get involved in some of the less reputable and less legal ways to make a few coppers. Elise idolises her older brother Darrow and is drawn into a mysterious political plot after he gets too deep into a job, which costs him his life. Samish watches her beloved friend struggle with her grief and tries to help in any way she can, which in turn pulls her into her own set of troubles. So let's start with the many things I love about this book. Firstly, Abraham's prose. Going from the mediocre prose of some of the books I have read recently into Age of Ash was an experience akin to whiplash. Abraham's prose always feels like coming home to me. It's not as poetic and lyrical as someone like Guy Gavriel Kay, nor is it as cutting and concise as someone like Abercrombie, yet in its own way it has a beautiful subtlety. The grief and sorrow of this story is conveyed in a simple yet effective way, and the characters manage to fill out our understanding of the world without any heavy-handed info dumps. I find it hard to express why I love Abraham's prose so much, but I think it's largely due to the fact that it so ably serves the story that it's telling. The prose is not the point, it is the means to deliver the story and the emotion behind the story, and it manages to do that incredibly well. As well as delivering the themes and the emotions well, there is an incredibly visceral atmosphere throughout the book, with the city of Kithamar almost becoming a character in its own right and taking on a life of its own. The themes that run through this book are handled equally well. Loss and grief are two major themes that are explored in Age of Ash, and this sort of tragic story fits right into Abraham's wheelhouse. That's exemplified perfectly by the masterpiece that, in my opinion, that is his debut series, The Long Price Quartet. After only one book in the Kithamar trilogy, we are already exploring these ideas pretty well, and I hope that we continue to see them focused upon, as well as introducing new ideas in the future books. The subtle use of a soft magic system is delicate, and it enhances and accents the emotions that we are meant to be engaging with, and in my opinion feeds perfectly into Elise's central conflict. The themes mesh closely with the character work, and I think that both Elise and Samish are incredibly deep and three-dimensional characters. They seem realistic to me, they're understandable, they never become caricatures or plain archetypes. Their relationship is complex, and it's turbulent in a pretty organic way, and I really feel like I know these characters now after this book. The multitude of side characters manage to remain pretty distinct from each other, which can be difficult with a large cast, and when we get a different viewpoint character for a section, it helps give a new perspective on whatever is happening. This book is character driven in the extreme, so if you enjoy the way that Abraham deals with his characters, then I'm sure you will enjoy this book. There are some areas, however, where for me Age of Ash may not work, and may not work particularly for you. As I just mentioned, it is character driven in the extreme and therefore moves pretty slowly. If you've read any of this author's other solo work, that shouldn't be a surprise to you. However, if you are new to Abraham, this may be off-putting. The main conflicts throughout lean towards the internal, and there is not much action until much later in the book. This means that if you don't get attached to the characters and the prose doesn't draw you in, then it's very unlikely the plot is going to be enough to hold your attention, unfortunately. My other complaint would be the very narrow focus in world building. The city of Kithamar is so well realised, but we lose any real focus on the world beyond the walls of the city. This can be seen to shrink the world. It feels like a very small area. You could argue this makes sense with the viewpoints we follow. The poor residents of Long Hill, for them, anything much outside of their district is pretty alien and might as well be another country, another city, another nation. However, I do hope that we will get to explore more of this world as we progress through the trilogy. Overall, if you have read Abraham before, I doubt this book will vastly alter your opinions on his works. If you've enjoyed his other works, I think you will enjoy Age of Ash. If you didn't, you probably won't. For those who've never read any of Daniel Abraham's solo work, I would highly recommend this if you like an atmospheric slow burn, or if you like a highly character-driven story. If you want action-packed, thrilling fantasy, however, this ain't it. With that said, I really loved Age of Ash. I finished it within 36 hours of receiving my copy, and it is a really solid 4.5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. Do let me know down in the comments if this is something you're planning to pick up, or if you have read it, let me know what your thoughts are. And if Daniel Abraham's style of writing sounds intriguing to you, go and check out this Should I Read video, Should I Read the Long Price Quartet. It was one of my first videos for the channel, but it should give you an insight into one of his other works and whether or not you may enjoy that as well.